Hey, in my last video, I talked about narcissists and their victims. Um, I think I'm going to be picking up this topic or the specific thing that we're so abundant in this society. And we are going to be, and I say you and I, because people that are going through narcissistic treatment or narcissistic abuse need a network, need a community to lean on, if anything, just to get validation for what they're going through. I myself, a lot of the times, I find myself regretting my choices for leaving the whole lot of those narcissists I was living with. My ex, my parents, my brother, my siblings, everybody was just out of control because these are patterns that everybody repeats and they have no idea they're doing it, by the way. So for one that is going through it, you may end up just questioning the hell out of yourself, going like, am I really being abused? I mean, they keep telling me that I'm not being abused. Well, of course, that's what they're going to say. So if you're going through such things, and we'll go more in depth about it, just write down in the comments if you want to, if you feel comfortable with that. Write down in the comments, and maybe we can get more, 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 more to talk about it, because it needs to be talked about. People need this exhalation, this release, because if you're living in a situation like I was, where I didn't know who to turn to because nobody believed me, because everybody, it's like, again, it's like being in the middle of a sanitarium or crazy house and talking to the other crazy people, and you asking them, do you think it's all right that the way we're being treated? And they're going, no, it's fine. What are you talking about? What are you complaining about? In my family, those patterns were constant. They were generational patterns. They still are, until I put a stop to it. And I became the black sheep, the one, the wild guy that, we don't know that, oh, you were never happy. You were never, you always act like uh, things are not good enough for you. It's like, well, because they're not. We shouldn't be living like this. This is not normal. To be abusing each other, to be calling each other names, to be putting each other down, and we're helping. Oh, that's love. I'm just doing it because I love you. That's narcissistic abuse. So if you're going through such things where you're constantly being talked to with insults and put downs, and not only that, violence, like I said before, you need to leave. You need to put space between you and these people. I've given this example before of the ugly duckling. As we know, this little story and some of these cartoons, from Disney. I believe they're from Disney. You know, ugly duckling gets dropped off with the wrong family. You know what I mean? Growing up with all these people that don't look like you or act like you, because they're not like you. In fact, you were probably dropped off with them so you could improve their lives, meaning that you were going to be the example to follow. You were going to be the one to change things. You were going to be the one who would stop those stupid, idiotic, violent patterns. When it's not good enough, it's not good enough. But if they're not listening to your recommendations that maybe we should do it this way, maybe we should do it a different way, well, don't feel crazy. You're still on the right. If your outlook is or your opinion is that of love and care, because really that's all you're looking for, aren't you? So if you're going through something like that, I mean, if you feel comfortable, leave it in the comments. You know, tell me a little bit about what you're going through, and this way I can talk about it. You know, and this way maybe you can get some validation, some closure if you need it. I know that half the time I feel crazy because no one believed me. Being a dude, and going through these things, especially with my ex, being a woman and everything, nobody believed me that I was being abused by a woman. But again, I saw my father's actions towards my mother. So for me, I was just like, I'm not gonna behave like this pig, because he was piggish in his ways towards my mother. So to behave like him, I felt disgusting. So no, I never mistreated my ex-wife in any way. I gave her all the love I could because I thought I've seen what not to do. So, and then in the end, all I kept thinking was, okay, well, I will give you all the love that I have. It's up to you what you do with it. And she showed me her true colors. And after a while, I was like, I don't think this is getting any better, because now I'm starting to miss myself. I don't even know who I am anymore with all this gaslighting. I don't even know, you know, what makes me happy anymore, because I went and replaced what makes me happy into what she liked. So, I was listening and watching and doing what she wanted, because to not make any trouble, just be like, whatever you want, sweetie. And then in the end, you end up with no choice, because you knew that if you were to pick what you really wanted, you just end up getting a bunch of trouble out of it. Oh, you always liked, you're so boring, and or so on and so forth, until she would get her way, until that other person would get their way. Like I said, in my family that I grew up in, is there was always the comments that, oh, you think nothing's ever good enough for you. You think you're so much better than everybody. It's like, no, I just don't think that we deserve this. I just don't think that I deserve this kind of talk, this kind of treatment. And I mean, I don't know if I mentioned, my father wanted to fist fight me in the street because I told him not to call me names anymore. We were fixing a car, and he kept calling me all kinds of insults and stuff like that. And I just finally had enough. And I think I was probably about 17. And I said, well, could you please just stop? I said, what? You think you're a man now? You're going to fight me now? And he gets in my face. So my mother starts crying because she was there and she's watching and she's crying. My brother's going, oh, they're going at it again. Like, try to stop it, or try to talk some sense into this dude that wants to fist fight me in the middle of the street, my own father. And then my little sisters are walking downstairs to see what's going on because of the yells. And I'm thinking, my little sisters are watching this. So I just left. I left to end up with another narcissist. But I left that place. And, after 30 years, I realized, wait a second, I think I jumped into the same, barrel of monkeys. It just, the transition felt so easy. Oh, I don't need to change anything at all. It's like living at home with my parents. I didn't know that it was because this person that I had picked to be my wife was exactly the same way as my father. See, generational patterns. But luckily, the person who made me see the truth or snap me out of that dreamscape state and gave me the courage to leave was Tina Turner. Yes, watching What's Love Got to Do with It. And I had seen it, in fact, my ex and I watched it together, when it first came out. Because that was our thing, always to watch movies and stuff like that. And I watched it and everything, and I just thought, yeah, abusive men are out there. My father was one of them. But I couldn't put it together that my ex was doing the same thing until, again, she drove me away from all my friends and my family too. Basically, it was so I wouldn't have anybody to run to talk to. I didn't have anybody. So that's what made it that much harder for people to believe me, because I didn't have anybody to talk to. So they isolate you, right? So it got so bad that I felt like I was getting ulcers, because for the longest time, I took the feminine approach, which is, in my energy, I'm a Sagittarius, so I can shape in any, to anything, what do they call it? Not mutable? One of those signs that I can, shape and reshape, So when she always had such an aggressive approach to everything, she became the masculine force in the house, and I do not cause any more fights, so my daughters wouldn't watch it. I took the feminine one, so that your whole yin and yang would fit, because imagine two aggressive energies going at it. I mean, but there would be times where I was like, that's it. You can't keep pushing like that, So basically, we argued anytime I would speak up. So by the end of our marriage, by the last years of us together, we were arguing a lot. But I always try to make it, so my girls wouldn't see it. But in the end, they always experienced it. They always watched it. So it got to the point, like I said, that I felt like she was trying to make me sick, because she would want to fight all the time, and I felt like she was making me sick on purpose, and I felt like I was developing ulcers, and I was losing weight, and like I said, I couldn't recognize myself anymore. I felt like I was being killed slowly. Maybe I shouldn't say that here on YouTube. I was being disalived slowly. It was scary. And then the reason why I'm telling you this is because it got to the point where I would call her Ike. Ike Turner, Tina Turner's ex, because of how abusive she was. And I was telling her exactly how I felt. Like, all you do is abuse me. All you do, and she would actually make it sound like I was crazy. But one time, I booked this part with a bunch of friends from Chicago. Right? They wanted me to be in their film, and they just sent me. They told me, "Hey, why don't you fly up to? I'm in LA. Why don't you fly up to Chicago and we can make this film?" Okay. And I remember she said she wouldn't drive me to the airport. But I was feeling so uneasy about traveling alone, and have done it in the past. But I was feeling so scared, so uneasy, like I wouldn't be able to handle the flight, these procedures, because now I have to take the bus, because she wasn't driving me, so I had to take the bus and I have to take the train, and I was questioning myself a lot, because she had taken my confidence away, my my self-reliance was gone because I have learned to rely only on her, because again, she took everybody away. Like I said, she pushed everybody, made me push them away, by the way. Because again, it's like they make it look like it was our decision, but you just don't want to fight. You just don't want to argument. So I'm gonna go visit my mom. What? And the arguments will start. Okay, never mind. I'm not going. I'm gonna go practice with my band. What? Never mind. I'm not going. You know what I mean? So in the end, I ended up with nobody, and then that was a lot easier for her to just get into my brain and just disarm everything that was once my norm. So when I got on the bus, I felt so just I felt like a battered wife, like I had been through so much abuse. I was literally shaking. I had my bag and I'm sitting there like I just had left my husband, and I was just like ready to cry. And I was like, wow, this is big. This is a huge problem. I'm not even myself anymore. I'm something else that she created, something else that she abused me to become. I was a shell. I wasn't me anymore. So that's when I started to think about leaving. I think it took me a few more months to get the courage, because it was just pushing, pushing. She just kept pushing and pushing, and I think that's what she wanted. She wanted to push me out the door, so I would end up getting a divorce. So it wouldn't. So it would look like it was my idea, because I think she had already found somebody else, new supply. That's one thing about narcissists, that they're never faithful, and this is why I always say never to get with anybody who's insecure, who has low self-esteem, who's not that good looking, because these people are ready and willing to to fall for any kind of a good word or compliment. They're ready to. I'm sure that somebody said, "Oh, you're sexy," or "You look good," or something like that, and she was like already undressing. So and that's also again supply for them, because again it makes them feel good about themselves. They can't muster up the energy to feel good by themselves, so they need all these outside rewards, this outside reinforcement. So yeah, I'm sure that she did a lot, and in fact, when I got a glimpse of it, or let's just say I finally got the idea, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna stay around so you can keep doing it to me, you know. So yeah, she made it pretty clear that she wasn't faithful, and that and also, spiritually speaking, my angels were warning me through dreams and signs and all kinds of things, to let me know, hey, you gotta go, you gotta go. It got so bad that even the angels got involved. Even Archangel Michael was involved in this whole thing. It's like, no, basically the people from heaven were like, you gotta go, you can't be around this person, it's gonna ruin the whole mission. Okay, you learn what it is to be with these people, now you gotta go. And eventually, because of all the constant arguments and the fact that I thought I was, dying slowly, I'm just gonna say it, I left. But it's not one day ever since that I don't question that decision. And it's only because of the amount of trauma that this person put me through. Because again, you got to remember that it came from my family as well. So this is the way I was raised. It was the norm to receive this kind of treatment and also to give it out. But I never gave it out because, like I mentioned before, I would feel disgusting, because that would remind me about my father, how he treated my mother. So I wasn't about to repeat the same behavior. So it is because I wasn't willing to repeat the same behavior that I You know, you can trust me when I say that all I gave my ex was just love and good attention. And like I said, I give you all the love that I can. What you do with it is up to you. And once they show you that that's not good enough for them, or they don't respect that, or that they want more, they don't value it. They don't value you. So you must leave. Like I said, it won't be easy, and you will question it every day since, from the time you decide to depart. But you're doing the right thing, because you're saying, I deserve better. I deserve better. And if nobody's going to give me better, I'm going to give it to myself. I mean, that's all you're really asking. I want love. And you're going to give it to yourself by protecting yourself. And that's how you protect yourself, by taking yourself away from abuse. And you're cutting off the supply for these maniacs. Know what I mean? Think about it and feel about it.